Secretary of State had decided that the clerks should not accept an e-signature, although there is a state law and there is a federal law that gives us that right to do so. So we thought that was going to be the issue. It was part of the issue, but they did a lot more. When we became concerned about the e-signature, when the clerks started saying they were not going to take that, we went back, we consulted our attorneys, we consulted again, or tried to, with the Secretary of State, because we'd gotten guidance from the Secretary of State, and the AG had, of course, advised the Secretary of State that the e-signature was okay. Everything was fine. And we addressed their concern. And then the next thing you know, there is another concern. It got to be about a discussion on the platform that we were using. The suggestion that Get Loud Arkansas was making up a platform. I need to be really, really clear that Get Loud Arkansas has not made a platform. We're using the platform for the Secretary of State office. And then, of course, today and yesterday, when we got the draft of what was going to be discussed today, we saw there was even more. And so we will address one issue, we'll address issue number 2, and then we get to issue number 3. So in order to have the folks of Arkansas be more conveniently civically engaged, we've been jumping one hoop after another. And this amounts to voter suppression. And this also amounts to saying to students, saying to people who have not been traditionally heard that their voice is not important, and we will go up every roadblock that we have to make sure that your vote is addressed. So this board passed an emergency rule today, and it is going to go into effect immediately because it's called the emergency rule, to make sure that Get Loud Arkansas does not use that platform that's been so successful in a state where it's difficult to get people to vote or to even get engaged. So I will suggest to you, there is an emergency here, but the emergency is doing something about making sure we address the problems in Arkansas of suppressing the vote. The emergency is making sure that the people in Arkansas do what they need to do to hold the folks who are making these rules and making these decisions, holding them accountable. We had no discussion. There was no discussion about what happened in that room today. We went in, we voted, and clearly this is designed supposedly to make sure there's clarity given to the clerks. If clarity was given to the clerks today, I did not see it. This is a serious, serious matter. That appointed people can decide. They can usurp the power of the clerks in every 75 counties. And that every time we meet a problem that they bring up, they keep moving the goalposts. And they give a third time to them. So we will be doing what we can and best to address this issue. But this is where we are. Our attorney for Get Loud is here today as well, Peter Schultz. And if you have any questions for him after Madam Clerk from Pulaski County makes a statement, if you would like to ask him some questions, and Peter will probably have a short statement. Is that right, Peter?
I'll speak.
And I will take questions from anybody there. And I ask you to take questions, to ask us questions, because there's a lot of misunderstanding, and I think it's deliberate Getting Out Arkansas is doing something we are not doing. We are not creating a new form. We are not registering people to vote. We're simply helping them fill out an application. That is it. What could be wrong with that? We got our answers today.
Good afternoon. So, as the clerk of Pulaski County, I am disappointed in today's promulgation of rules because we were not, as clerks, able to even have a response to what they were handing down or making a rule for all of the clerks of the state. But I did want the people of Pulaski County to know that I will always stand on the side of the voter. That's what I pledged to do when I ran in 2018. And I'm an advocate, and I want to make sure that registering new voters is certainly, I want to make sure the process is accessible. And so right now, these rules, for me, leave more questions than they do have answers. And they definitely will affect our office in some way. And we certainly need some time to go over those and see how they do affect our office. But I just want to make sure that we review it carefully. I want to know what kind of punishment there might be for the clerks if we don't follow this particular rule. But I'm assured. I want you all to be assured right now that we certainly want to make sure that we do follow the law, but we want to know all of the ramifications that deal with this particular promulgation of rules.
Hi everyone, I'm Peter Schultz. I represent Get Out Arkansas, and I won't get into too much of our legal advice or strategy, but I just want to reiterate a couple things. First of all, the right to vote is a fundamental right for every Arkansan, for every citizen of the United States. It is essential to a functioning democracy. The rule promulgated today makes it harder for people to vote. As a citizen, not just as a lawyer, as a citizen, it makes me upset. I think all Arkansans should be upset about that. That they are issuing this rule to make it harder for people to vote. Arkansas should be proud. Arkansas, in its Constitution, enshrines the right to vote. It's there in Article 3 of the Arkansas Constitution. The federal Constitution, while the right to vote is part of the First Amendment and 14th Amendment, doesn't have that same provision. So I think Arkansans should be proud that we have a Constitution that enshrines the right to vote, and we should do everything we can to uphold it.
If you have any questions, let me just tell you who these people are standing behind us. We don't have guards. We're not that properly yet. But I want the people of Arkansas to understand what a small group we are, trying to make sure Arkansans' rights are respected and are upheld. I think who is not here, maybe two people are not here. And we are a small group trying to do big things because we will not play small ball. Our people are better than that, and they need more than that. And so if people out there can help, we need your help. Follow us on social media to find out what we're asking of you. Because this is not just our fight. This should be the fight of every Arkansan. To help out the people behind us, the one sitting here, and the 3 million Arkansans out there who lead us on. Are there any questions?
I have a question. Mary Hennigan with the Arkansas Times. How will you change, or will you change, the platform that exists now online?
Well, we are, at this point, from what we saw today, we are considering if we will take it down for the moment until we get some further direction. And it's not because we have concerns about the format ourselves. We have to do the right thing for the people of Arkansas. So a group who kept changing the rules every other day, we can't depend on to make sure they won't do the same thing again. So in order to protect Arkansans, we will have to consider that taking it down for now until from somebody who's going to keep their word.
This form is something that you print out and you fill it out and mail it in?
Yes, and in this case, you can do that because it's on our website, and you can fill out the form. You can also go to the Secretary of State's website too. It's the same form. You could go to the Secretary of State's website and download that form, fill it out, sign it, and turn it in. What's on Get Loud's website is that same form where you take your cell phone, for example, and you can populate that with all of your information, and it's very clear. The only difference is that you could now sign with your finger or whatever, just as you do when you, I don't know, get a mortgage, pay your taxes, all the things we do now. And that is what we were held accountable for in the first place, that you may not do this. And we resolved that and went to the next problem, to the next problem.
In your original creation of this assistance for people in the community, what problems were you alleviating? Like, what did this solve that,
Yes, good question. And what it solves is, if you're doing this work, you see hundreds of Arkansans, I'm sure thousands, because there are many of us, but people who just don't have the access to register to vote the way most of us think we can. People just don't have the access, and many people are much better off when they have somebody they can ask questions and so forth. So what we are attempting to do is bring us at least into the 20th century, if not the 21st. All but 7 states and one that is in the process, all but those actually have online registration, which is not what we're doing. We're just filling out the form online. So the thing that we want to do more than anything is make it convenient, make it easy. It should not be difficult to access the ballot. Arkansas makes it very difficult to access the ballot. And that's what we were stepping in, trying to make it a more convenient process and to get to more people who don't have access at all.
From the clerk's standpoint, what the process did that Get Loud was using, it actually helped us read the names and addresses a lot better than what somebody's penmanship may do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a question for Ms. Hollingsworth. You said that one of the questions that you have that's left unanswered from the rule today is how will clerks be punished if they don't follow the rules? So is that something that you're considering, not following the rule that was passed today?
Well, there's something I want to make sure, just as Get Loud wants to make sure that we're protecting the voter. We want to make sure that they get voted. Make sure they get registered. So if there's something here that we have to push for a new process, I want to be part of making sure that we push for a process that is going to not only protect the voter, but make sure that they're registered to vote. So in terms of just breaking the law, no, that's not what I'm going to do.
When did this start? When you first went online to assist people, how many people were you able to help get signed up? And will the election commission honor those people that have been signed up through the app? Or are they asked to fill out the form and mail it?
Yeah. We started, was it January 2024? No, earlier than that. January of 2024. And we have, through that process, we've engaged approximately 500 people who've gone through that process and completed it. And it's been, I could see from that person's standpoint how much easier it was for people to use the online process rather than trying to get somewhere that piece of paper going in. It's the other thing that we would do once that person completed the form on, say, your iPhone. We would print that form and send it to the clerks. We made sure those forms got to the right clerk. And that's one of the other things that made it so much easier for people. They didn't have to go through and do all that work. We are set up to do that.
So they did honor the people that you were able to get registered since January?
They did originally, because, to be clear, before we got went into this process, we had conversations with the Secretary of State and got their guidance. And we were advised that there's no reason to treat the electronic signature any differently from the wet signature. That's what we got from the Secretary of State more than one time. And so we felt good that we would do that, and then of course we continue to do the work. And even after we were doing the work and the questions came from the Secretary of State, we also were benefited by, or at least we thought, that with the Attorney General saying the same thing, the Secretary of State asked for the opinion, and the Attorney General said, yes, we have every right to use the e-signature. And was there another part of your question I didn't answer?
Does this emergency act, does this put into perspective the possibility that they may have their own version that they might put out down the line to bypass what Lodge has been doing?
I don't assume that's the case, because according to them, they have the power to do what they did today. I really have questions about that. But if they have the power to do what they did today, they also had the power to do the opposite and follow the Attorney General's opinion and set up a course to make this easier for people to access the ballot. They could have used that power in a very different way. They just chose to suppress the vote instead.
Are you going to file a lawsuit?
Well, that's something that we have under consideration, but we haven't made any definite decisions about that. And if anybody out there wants to make it easier for us and help us do that, because it's not cheap, it's not free, I'd love to hear from you.
Where do you think the confusion comes from if you're saying y'all are using just the ones through the Secretary of State? Why do you think they would do this? Or how is there any confusion?
I don't think there is confusion. I think there's just deliberate voter suppression.
Yeah, I think there wasn't confusion, right? One of the things that Senator Elliott explained is Get Loud Arkansas was open and transparent with the Secretary of State. They went to the Secretary of State, here's what we're doing. Is this okay? Secretary of State's office said, yes it is. And then there was no confusion, there was no problem.
It all happened once you went and told him that y'all were using this. And
No, they said okay multiple
Yeah.
times. And then at the end of February, the Secretary of State changed his mind. And then that's where the county clerks operated different, had different rules. And Get Loud Arkansas tried to accommodate all of those different rules as well. But there was no initial confusion.
Do you believe that there's a specific group of voters that they're trying to suppress more than others?
I don't know if that is an aim, but I can tell you that's the result. Because for example, we have gone to several high schools and we've concentrated on young people, and young people really need to step up and become a part of this movement to make sure they can vote and their futures are not compromised by people who don't have their interests at heart. But the people that we were targeting for the most part were young people, or people in rural areas when we could get them, because sometimes they don't have access. But people of color and just anybody in the communities whose voices are being left out and need to be heard, so that community can be stronger with all the voices. So whether they meant to or not, that's the result. And nobody should be okay with that result.
Moving forward, what's the game plan for Get Loud? Are you still going to schools? Are you still going to communities?
Yes.
You have the discussion that people need to get signed up to vote, even with this bump in the road.
Yes. we'll just have to keep doing it, however it's necessary. What we were doing was indeed a game changer. There is no doubt about that. Somebody would like the game that was being changed. Any other questions? If not, thank you all for coming. We appreciate you, and please, we ask the public to follow us. We ask you to, because we probably can't get the word out without you, and we appreciate your leadership. Thank you. Oh, we do have a rally this afternoon at 5:15, by the way. Thank you, Pacific. We have the rally at 5:15, and if you would help us pump that out there, and if you come back and cover that, we would really appreciate it. Yeah. Tell your boss that you're coming. How about that? I'm a former teacher. I'll give you an excuse. But thank you. Anything else that we need to